Hello everyone and welcome to this new session of the Terraform. So today we are going to discuss on the Terraform modules. My name is Alok Kumar and let's start this session. So before starting the Terraform modules, we need to understand the drive principle first. So if you are a software developer, you are familiar with the drive principle because in the software development we use or we develop a functionality and we utilize it as a function so that we can use it in different places. We don't have to rewrite it, so it will avoid the duplicating of the code, and the same logic we can utilize it. Okay, so drive principle in software development stands for don't repeat yourself. It is the fundamental concept that encourages developers to avoid duplicating code or logic in the system. So you can maintain the code in a very easiest way. Whenever you require any modifications, you just need to modify in that function. And where you used it, it automatically pick all the changes. So you have to write at once and utilize at many places. And in the case of any modifications, you can do modifications at a single place. So these principles applied not only to traditional software development but also in the infrastructure as a code IAC tools like Terraform. So you have seen that in a single Terraform file we can provide all the informations, like we can use the variables, we can use the provider, we can create the resources. That also works, but it will be a lengthy way. So in case of any problems occurs, you have to debug several lines of code, because as the functionality gets increased in the project, the lines also get increased. So we split all the things, like the EC2 resources, we create a different Terraform file. Okay, and for the provider we created different Terraform file, for variables different Terraform file. In this way we just make a structure that is easy to understand. Okay, and we can convert that resources that we created, that we think that we can utilize in different projects, we make it as a modules, or in simplest way we can say that we can consider it as a modules. Okay, so instead of writing the similar infrastructure code several times, you can create reusable Terraform modules. So modules allow you to define a set of resources, variables and output in one places. So you created a modules, or consider a piece of code as a module. Suppose in this example I'm considering EC2. Okay, we have to create several times instance, AWS instance. So we don't need to write it again and again. A piece of code which we keep in a module folder, we consider it as a Terraform modules, and we can utilize in a different project. Like in this case, we are creating an instance, name it as a myEC2, and the tag we are defining myEC2. Okay, and the AMI and the instance type we hard coded. So there are several benefits of this. Suppose you providing these modules to a developer, you are from the DevOps team and you provided this particular modules to a developer, so that developer can't override with. So developer are forced to create an instance of T2 micro only. If we use the variables, then the developer will override it. We are going to see in the different slide, next slide. Okay, so in this type of modules, just restrict our users to use this particular AMI and this particular instance type for your purpose. You can't modify it. Okay, or some person is new to the DevOps team, we are providing these particular modules to use it. Okay. The variables and input parameters. Use Terraform variables to parameterize your configurations. Okay. So you can see in the instance type we are using the variables now. The var dot instance type. This is the part of modules where we keep the creations of EC2 code in a module folder. There we are using the variable instance type, and here we defined the variable to be T2 micro, but we allowing the users who utilizing the modules, suppose a developer, they using the modules here at this place, they are using the modules and they also doing the override of for the instance type. They want T2 medium. So in this case, this is allowed. Okay. So we are going to see all these things as a demo. Okay. So what we discussed here, we are jumping to the demo for the demonstrations. This is my AWS console. So you can see that there is no instance currently running. Let's understand the architecture. We have a Terraform. This is the folder for the modules. This is the main modules folder. Okay. So inside it I created a modules folder. Inside this module folder, I have one folder of EC2. So you can understand in this way. We have a Terraform underscore m folder, and inside this particular folder, we have one for modules, one for projects. Okay. Inside the modules for the EC2 instance resources, because we are demonstrating for the EC2, you can do it for any of the other resources in a similar way. Okay. We have EC2 and the variables file. Okay. So if you look into the ec2.tf file, this is the Terraform code. Okay. And this is the provider code. You can put it in a different Terraform file also. This is the good way, but for the simplicity and easy to understand, I written down in a similar file. Okay. So this is the Terraform version related. We already created a video in more detail for the Terraform provider versioning and how these things works in my Terraform playlist. You can have a look. This is the provider for the AWS, because we are using the AWS to create a EC2 instance, and the reason we are using the Mumbai region, AP South 1. Okay. For the resources, this is the AWS instance. We have to use this particular resource name, and this is my local name, my EC2. And the AMI for the EC2 instance that we are going to create, we are doing the hard coded value here, and the instance type is also hard coded. So first we understand it by creating an instance, then we will utilize it as a module in my project. So you can see that this, I also created a project folder. Inside the project folder, we have a project A, and inside it we created one Terraform file, and there we are going to utilize this particular code by calling it as a modules. Okay. So currently we are in the modules EC2. You can see we have two file here, ec2.tf and variable.tf. So first we need to initialize it. Terraform init. So it will download all the plugins related with the AWS only. So whatever we are using here related to all these, they downloaded the plugins. Currently we are using only one provider, AWS. So it will download the plugins for the AWS. So you can find it inside the Terraform provider registry. We have one plugins get downloaded. This will support the Terraform to create the EC2 instance in the AWS. For the security code, access code and the security code, I already configured into the AWS CLI. Okay, so if you didn't have the understanding how to configure it, you can watch my the previous videos on that particular aspect. Okay, so we did all the things hard coded here. Okay, now I am going to launch an instance, but you can execute the Terraform validate Terraform format if you want, like Terraform validate. So it will check for any error in the code. This is also a good practice to validate each time, and format as well. Terraform fmt. So it will align all the things in a correct order. Now Terraform plan. So this will show us the plan what Terraform is going to execute in the AWS cloud. So you can see that it's going to create one instance here. So one instance will be created and all the informations which image it's going to use. And what is the type of instance? So we provided it as a hard coded, so it will pick T2 micro. Okay. So let's apply it. Okay. So it will going to create a EC2 instance in AWS. Just pass yes here as a confirmation. So you can see it prompting that we are creating the EC2 instance as per your requirement. When you refresh it, you can find that my EC2 tag that we used here, my EC2, it created the EC2 instance of T2 micro. Okay, now let's destroy it. So what we are going to do here, we tested our code. Okay, it's working fine. Now we convert it as a module, or you can say consider it as a modules in our project. So in the project, if any developer required to create a EC2 instance, we provide this particular path to utilize it. Okay, let's give the confirmation again for destroy. So it's destroying the EC2 instance. Okay, it's already get destroyed. Now we are going to move into the project. Now we don't know about this particular modules, but we know the locations of EC2 that we are going to consider it as a modules in our project A. Let's move to the CD from the main folder ls, where we have the two folder. Let's go to CD project ls, where we have the project 1, CD project A ls. Now we have project A ec2.tf file. So let's open it. So we have the same piece of code. You can split it into a different Terraform file as well, the provider and the Terraform code, okay, in a different file. But for the simplicity, I put it here. You have to use the module now, okay, and you can name it anything as per your convenience. Whatever you want to use, whatever the name you want to use, this is your local things to refer, and you have to provide the source. So we are going to up two level here, from the project to project A and the project. Then we have to go to the modules, this particular folder, and then ec2 instance, where we have the ec2.tf file. We created a folder for the ec2 and there we created a tf file. We are referring that particular file to create a resources for us. So you can see we don't have any resources yet. Now we are in the project A. Now if we write here Terraform plan it will create a problem here because we didn't initialize it. Now at this point it will not only download the binary for the AWS, it will also create a modules folder where it considered the AWS path and the module name. So let me initialize it. So you can see that it's first initializing the modules. It will keep all the informations that what is the module name and which source you are referring for that. Okay. Beside this is also initializing the AWS plugin. So you can see here the two folders get created, one for the modules and one for the provider, because we are using provider also and module also. Okay. So if you go to the modules, you can find modules.json. Here you find the complete informations, that what is the key and what is the value as a source and where this particular file is kept. So it have all the informations to refer. Okay, and the provider is the same. Inside the registry we have the Terraform plugins. Okay, so now we initialize it. Let's look for the plan. So you can see that we hard coded the instance type to a T2 micro here in this particular file EC2. We hard coded it, and the same snippet of code we can consider it as a modules. So it's also saying that one to add. So what is the instance type here? It's T2 micro. So it will create one instance for us using the modules. Terraform apply. Yes. So you can see that the module.ec2 modules AWS instance my EC2. Here you will find one instance will appear that we created through the module, because we are currently in the project A. We are just executing this piece of code inside this folder, project A. So you can see that we created one instance my EC2 T2 micro. Okay, now we are going to utilize the variable in the, let's destroy this particular file first. It will again ask for the confirmation. It's better to give the confirmation after referring all the plans, because auto approve is sometimes very dangerous. Better to not use auto approve. So you can find the instance get destroyed. Okay, now I am jumping to the EC2, and there we are going to use these variables which I already created in a separate file. So this is the modules folder. Okay, now we are providing the t2.micro, and same thing we are going to use it here instead of hard coded. You can do it for the AMI also, but for demonstration I am considering only one variables to be picked from the variables.tf file. Okay, so var dot instance type. Okay, now save it, and inside the project where we considering it as a module, here by default the instance type is T2 micro. Okay, so if you look into the variables, it's T2 micro, and this is the module part where we are utilizing it, but in the project we are overriding it. If we don't provide anything, it will pick the default one. Okay, but here instance type, what we are going to use, T2 medium. Okay, so we are overriding. So we are by single changes, by doing a single changes in the modules in all the projects where we utilizing that particular modules, now the users have the rights to override it. So you can see the beauty of this functionality. You did the modifications in a single modules, and all the projects which utilizing this particular modules get affected. Okay, so let me save it. I save all the files. We are currently in the project 1, Terraform. Just look into the plan. Don't need to apply all the changes all the time. So we are going to add one instance. Okay, we are basically concerned about the instance type here. Okay, so you can see that one instance now is getting created, but it is T2 medium. So utilizing that particular modules, we because that particular modules utilizing the variables, and that's why we are going to override it. So as per our need, you can utilize, or you can mention here any of the instance type. So that's for the modules. We will come again for the in the next session more about the modules. Okay, so hope you like this video. If you didn't subscribe my channel yet, please do subscribe it, because it always motivate me. Share this channel link with your friends, and if you like this video, gives me a thumbs up. And if you have any concern regarding how you can use these modules in a different way, if you have any questions, you can put it into the comment box. Okay, thanks for watching.